Hello, everyone. This is another Black Conservative. I am Ryan Bolin. Thank you all for joining me. Allegedly, a 57-year-old Caucasian female was riding a bus to Queens, and she was assaulted by several African American females that after the assault stated that they, quote, hate white people. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to read this article for Breitbart News. It's some heavy information. I'm going to read this article, and then I'm going to give you my opinion on why I believe there's so much racial tension rising in this country. And it's probably going to be against or opposite of the narrative that the mainstream media is spinning. So let's get into this. Let's get into this article. And it starts off with a white woman was injured on a Queens bus during an altercation with three black passengers who allegedly said they, quote, hate white people, according to law enforcement. The 57-year-old was riding a bus in Woodhaven on Saturday evening when their apparent fight erupted with three black women, the New York Post reported Thursday. The woman was, quote, struck in the head with an unknown object, causing a laceration and began to bleed, according to the officers. I hate white people, the way they talk, one of those involved allegedly said. Law enforcement sources told the Post. The three women exited the bus at Woodhaven Boulevard and Jamaican Avenue, according to the Daily Mail, but have not been located. The victim was treated at Jamaica Hospital and needed 2 stitches for the gash on her head, the report said. This is a sad case. Now, the New York City Police Department Hate Crime Task Force is investigating the matter, officers told the Post. Meanwhile, overall index crime in New York City, and this is part of the reason, rose 36.5% in March compared to the same month last year amid the state's soft on crime bail laws, Breitbart News reported on April 7th. Transit crime saw a staggering 52.5% jump as well as subway crimes, including a hammer attack, slashings, and beatings made headlines last month, the outlet continued. Moreover, hate crimes, especially against Jewish people, have been seen an alarming jump. Overall, hate crimes increased 16% in March, with Jews being the most targeted group. There were 23 hate crimes committed against Jewish people, nearly 100% increase from the 12 in March of last year. The second most targeted group was Asians, who were the victims of 17 hate crimes. This is sad. In addition, the Post reported in June that so far more than 1,500 New York police officers had either stepped down or retired in 2022. This is all a plan, I believe, but I'm not going to get into that until later. The New York Police Department is sliding deeper into a staffing crisis that will ultimately hurt public safety, Police Benevolent Association Patrolman Union President Patrick Lynch explained. Low pay, inferior benefits, and constant abuse from the city council and other anti-cop demagogues have pushed attrition to record highs, he also noted. And that's the end of that article there. And that is a sad case, but it is a case that's not all too uncommon. We're having the same situation here in the city of Cleveland where I reside. I can see the low morale on many of the police officers' faces. And I can see and understand why a lot of them are retiring. I just read from the Plain Dealer, a lot of them are retiring. A lot of the police officers are quitting the force. There are a lot of people that don't want to be involved in the police, don't want to become police officers because of the bad rap that a lot of them are getting. And the mayor that we have in our city so far, from what I understand, he's a progressive. So when I found, he had just got elected a few months ago, and when I found out he was a progressive, I was like, oh, we in trouble, because most of our, if not all of our mayors in the city of Cleveland for decades have been Democrats. And when it comes down to crime in this city, it never really decreased. It never really decreased. And I'm not going to go into the detail about in most Democrat-run cities, they have some of the highest crime rates in the country. I'm not going to go into that because most people already know that. But that's going to give you my commentary on what I believe that this situation is with these young girls, these individual African Americans assaulting this Caucasian female on the bus. Part of the problem, or part of the reason why I believe that this is going on, is because Number one, the mainstream media, MSNBC, CNN, ABC, and others, the way they present race relations, or when it comes to whites and blacks, particularly white police officers engaging with black people, or white and black situations in any formal way, it's always done in a negative way for the most part. Very rarely do you see the mainstream media present white people in a positive way recently. It's always in a negative way, some kind of race-related way. And what that does with a lot of uninformed or ill-informed African Americans, particularly those that are young, is it plants in their minds this idea that white people are out to get them. It seeds or develops this hatred towards other people, or I would say aggravation towards other people. But clearly, one of the assailants wasn't aggravated. She clearly said, "I hate these white people." That's what she said out of her own mouth. So to say stuff like that, you have to ask yourself a question: where is that coming from? And I believe it's coming from the mainstream media. It's also coming from a lot of these professors on college campuses that are putting out this idea that America and Europe is racist, and they constantly. So you putting this kind of negative information out there about America, about white people, about this, about that. You're putting that information out there. What do you think younger, uninformed young minds are going to begin to do? They're not going to, for the most part, a lot of them, unfortunately, are not educated enough to be able to decipher, okay, this is right and this is wrong. They're not going to be able to do that because that's all they're receiving. And to be quite frank with you, I'm not too angry with them. What I'm angry with is the establishment, because I personally believe, based on my studies of communism and Marxism and progressivism, and what they really are doing and have been doing in this country, is that they're purposely designed to dismantle this country in order to reform it again into a communist country and merge it with the United Nations. I believe a lot of this hate that's being spit towards other races other than the black race now is by design. See, someone can argue, well, they was doing it back in the 1930s and 1940s. So, hey, this is what's going to, so why not do it to them? So that's your excuse? Tit for tat? Someone render evil to you, you render evil back to them? You think that's the way to go? Well, they did it back then, so we're going to do it to them. We're going to do it to white people today because they did it back then. Well, first of all, the white people that did it back then are not the same people that's today. Have you thought about that? Have you thought about the fact that there is no connection between what whites did then and what some whites may be doing today? All this stuff is provoked. It's provoked. It's provoked. And people, by the way, just for a side note, forgive me for this flashing on here. I'm having problems with the connectability. I'm going to try to get that fixed. Hopefully I can be able to continue this video without it shutting off. But yeah, I believe that that's what's going on here. This is being provoked by the mainstream media, by Marxist professors who are purposely causing division. Purposely causing division. That's why there are channels like this and other conservative channels to show you the other side, so it's not biased. Or we can say, well, let's put it like this. If you believe this channel is biased, then it has a right to be biased because the mainstream media is biased. If the mainstream media is only showing you one side, and my channel and a myriad of other conservative channels are showing you the other side, then you need to see that. You need to see that because the mainstream media is not showing you both sides. It's not showing you from the conservative point of view. The only channel, mainstream news source that's showing you things from a conservative point of view is Fox News. But from what I was told, Fox News is being purchased by left-leaning individuals. So a lot of the things that Fox News are doing seems to be merging more with the left. So is that really helpful? No. So that's why we have channels like my own and other conservative channels like Anthony Brown Logan, the Officer Tatum, Larry Elder, and others to show you the conservative side from a conservative point of view, not from a liberal point of view, because they're going to always screw it up and misrepresent it. make conservatives look evil and racist when it was a Democratic Party that was the original party of slavery, the original party of racism, Jim Crow laws, and the KKK. That's not my opinion. That's historical fact. And they have not changed. They just changed their tactics. But that's another story, and I'm not going to even get into that right now. It'll be a whole nother video. But suffice it to say that what we see in here on this bus here is just one example of many situations that's occurring all over this country. Is going to occur more and more as we see the mainstream media put these divisive messages out here, as we see these college professors, so-called college professors, okay, spitting out these anti-white messages towards their class, towards the students. We're going to see more and more of this kind of nonsense being spit out. I believe it's planned, and I believe it's on purpose. But knowledge is power. And when you study and read and find out why this is going on, then it helps alleviate a lot of the pressure. It helps alleviate a lot of the frustration and anger that a lot of Americans are dealing with, because they're wondering, why is this stuff going on? Why is all this hate going on? What's going on here? I already said before that part of the reason that I personally believe is because God has been removed out of everything. They took prayer out of the schools. They took the Ten Commandments out of the schools. They replaced creation with evolution. Okay. They took morality out. They destroyed morality, or in efforts, attempting to destroy the concepts of right or wrong, and replaced it with moral relativism and situational ethics. I talked about that in the previous video. So when you pushing that kind of stuff out, what do you think? What do you expect the people going to act? When you tell these young people that when you teaching things like microaggression, what the heck is microaggression? You sound like a fool. What is microaggression, man? Explain that to me. I know somebody gonna put it in the comment box and explain it to me. I'm being sarcastic. I know what it means, but it's foolishness. It's a term made up by Marxist professors to keep division going in. No such thing even exists. No such thing even exists. That's something that they make, the Marxist professors and Marxist policymakers make up to put in your mind to make you think as an African American that everything that some white person does that's in disagreement to you or whatever, you think they are aggressively somehow trying to insinuate racism towards you, but they're doing it a little bit at a time and they're not aware of it. Man, come on. Come on. I can do a whole nother video on how stupid that really is. So I'm not going to even try to explain what that is. It's made up. It's a made up term. A lot of these terminologies and so forth and words are made up words by the establishment. And then, because you got to think about it, where are all these new terms and stuff coming from? Where are they all coming from? The regular people are not making these words up. Where are these words coming from? They're coming from the mainstream media, Marxist professors, and Marxist divisive politicians and other think tanks. That's why they call them think tanks. These institutions they call think tanks. They're called think tanks because they come up with terms that make you think about those terms that are designed to divide you into small groups, tribal groups, as one researcher says. Now you got this group over here and that group over here and that group. We become so divided and we don't even know why we're divided. We don't know why we're divided. Why are we so divided? Think about it. It's a reason for that. And the reasons I just gave is what I personally believe is the reason why, if not part of the reason why we are so divided. But hopefully we can overcome this division and think clearly about how to deal with situations like this. But what do you guys think about this? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, and share. God bless you all, and see you again on another Black Conservative.